With soul-based coaching, you get to tap into your vast inner resources, the resources that are your birthright. You get to experience change that is embodied, science-backed, transformation that lasts. And it doesn't just promise results. We know this from working with thousands of clients and coaches over the last 20 years. No matter if you're seeking growth for yourself, for clients, or to be a catalyst for change in the world today, this approach ignites lasting change from the inside out. And you may be wondering how we do that. Our foundation is holding space, not just as a buzzword, but as the actual practice of simultaneous attuned attention, where you learn to create a field where your clients get to meet and experience themselves. We use a specific way of asking questions called clean language that's designed to keep your own stuff out. Your experiences, your expectations, your judgments, your assumptions. And then we work with embodied metaphor. Now, if you've been in any of our events, you may have had a little taste of how embodied metaphors can work. Basically, metaphor is part of our primary operating system as human beings. The process of metaphor is about comparing one thing in terms of another. And that's how we learn about the world from the very, very beginning. So you can say that metaphors live underneath all of our sense-making and all of our language and thinking processes. And the way that we have subconsciously shaped our metaphors determines how we see the world. Let me give you a small example. One of my clients was having a lot of issues with his romantic relationships and was talking about how to him, being in a relationship was like being in a war room, trying to oversee the battlefield and work out what strategies would work best so that the relationship would have a chance. Right? Now, that wasn't a conscious thing that he was living with. It's just a metaphor that popped up as I asked him about his experiences. And you can imagine that when you hold that metaphor of a war room active in your psyche, even at a subconscious level, your relationships are going to head in a certain way much more easily than when your subconscious metaphor for relationship is like, for example, dancing a tango, where sometimes one person leads and sometimes the other, but where there is a very close meeting of minds and bodies in an environment that is fun and playful and where you're very attuned to one another. Which reality would you prefer, right? Now, the interesting thing is that those metaphors are not set in stone. They can be changed. And when they change, our reality changes with them. And that's really interesting because we can't just say, well, I'm now going to have the tango. It's like we need to renegotiate with our inner sense so that all of our beliefs, our earlier experiences, our expectations, all the parts of ourselves that have a certain investment in it being the war room can realign with each other about how they want things to be while taking care of what's important to the psyche. And I love that when we help the client's system with that process of realignment, it's not a mind-led activity. These metaphors have a life of their own. They inform one another. And so, for example, the tango can help the war room get untangled and unpacked and disintegrate or morph into, say, a dance hall that the client wants it to be. Once that happens, it means that the client experiences things differently. It's like the soul-based coaching process invites all of these pathways in their subconscious and conscious mind that have to do with relationship to morph into an alternative so that all thinking and feeling and noticing is now informed by tango dancing rather than war rooms. When that happens, the client feels very differently, thinks differently, but they also behave differently. They make different choices, they have a different energy that they put out into the world, and therefore they also invite other things into their lives. At the very least, they're going to respond differently to the things that are happening around them. And that kind of change is embodied and lasting. One of the things that is essential about this modality is that as a coach, you bring your own metaphors into the space with you, whether you're aware of them or not. But we teach you how to not bring them into the mix. Because we don't offer our clients suggestions, we do not give them our experiences, because within our client system, there is a vast amount of wisdom and knowledge that goes way beyond their lived years here on earth in this lifetime. And that has exactly the information and the resources that they need in ways that fit their system like a glove. We don't want to, and we don't need to mess with that. This is how clients become radically resourced, how they tap into those vast resources that are their birthright, and have the changes in their lives that they want to have happen. Would you like to know more? Then come find us on academyforsoulbasedcoaching.com and subscribe to our newsletter. That way you get to be invited to all of our events, training programs, and tasters. And of course, if you have any questions, let us know. We are happy to help.